Welcome, everyone. My name is Len Statham. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for NYAPRS. And I'm so glad that you are able to join us, Oscar Jimenez Solomon and I. Oscar is he's a research scientist with the New York Center of Excellence for Cultural Competence and the New York State Psychiatric Institute, as well as Columbia University Medical Center. We are lucky to have Oscar today. He is a subject matter expert on this topic, and you guys are going to really enjoy this particular workshop. So we're glad you're here. Just want to make one announcement, and that is I will be posting the evaluations if you are looking for CE credits in the chat box during this workshop. So I'll be looking for that. I'll probably do it a couple times. And one other announcement is if you are looking to be at the NYAPRS annual meeting, you'll want to stay right in this room because this is the room that it's happening in. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Oscar.
Thank you, Len. Well, the pleasure is mine. Sorry, let me just go back here. Thank you so much, Len, for the invitation, and Harvey, and congratulations to NYAPRS on this another successful NYAPRS conference that brings so many hundreds of people together, and especially now, where it's so important that we come together to continue renewing our views on recovery and opportunities to continue supporting each other and other people who are in need and are not getting the recovery support that they could be getting to achieve their goals. So thanks, Len and Harvey, for creating also this space to talk about employment and financial wellness. And what we're actually hoping today is to not really dwell too much on the problem. And unfortunately, we all know it very well. And many of us are living it. Perhaps many of you, if not many people in your families, in your communities, or people that you support or that support you as well. And what we're actually hoping to accomplish today is to try to focus a little bit more on the solution and on a set of possible solutions, all of which involve in one way or another the peer relationship. Some of the things that we're going to show today don't have to happen in a peer relationship, but many of them can, and in some cases they could be even more effective if they are. But if you're a provider who is not a peer provider, or someone who is trying to work in this area of your life with someone who is not a peer provider, we really hope that what we're going to talk about today will apply also. So what I wanted to actually start is just talking about the very title, and wanted to focus on one word that I think, in my experience, seems sometimes that we, as a community, as a recovery community, we take for granted a little bit, and that requires perhaps a little more attention so that we can get on the same page about what we mean by it and what does it take to actually foster. And I'm talking about hope. And I'm going to walk you through in the next few minutes, trying to set the stage. I wanted to walk you through an approach to hope and a way of thinking about hope that will help us to kind of ground our work on promoting, fostering financial hope among ourselves, the people that we support, our peers, and the communities that we're a part of. But before we get started, I just want to create a minute or two of just some blank space. I know you've had some very exciting workshops today and leading to today, and life is busy. One of the things that we're finding so important in our work around financial hope is to create this space to be able to pause. And I just wanted to take a few seconds And if you entertain me, please join me in a deep breath and just a moment of quietness. Try to bring our intentions back to why we came here today and what brought us here today. You know, what motivated me to come to this workshop? You know, what is it about me and who I am and my values, my goals? Why does it matter to me? I'll just let 10 seconds go in silence and we'll come back to it. Okay, well, thank you. What I see that most of us don't have our camera turned on, which is fine. I just wanted to also say that what we would like to do today, hopefully there'll be some interaction. If you want to turn it on, please, thank you, Dino. I appreciate you turning your camera on. If you want to turn it on, if you're at a place where you can do it, please do. We're gonna not just lecture or do a presentation. We're actually gonna work with some of the tools, some of the concepts, and that's probably the best way that we can actually get our handle on a few of these things. So feel free to do that if you're at a place where you can do that and are feeling compelled to do that. So I'm gonna go back to some of the beginnings of what we wanted to share with you today, and then have a bit of a discussion with those concepts. The first concept that we wanted to share with you about is this idea of hope. We say that hope is really important in recovery, and it is true. One of the things that we know is that recovery without hope is almost impossible. And one of the most important roles in which, or ways in which peer relationships can be most effective, this is what we find in the research, is to build hope. So what is hope? And I wanted to offer you this way of looking at hope and breaking it down. We really like the concept by this pretty famous guy who actually developed a theory around hope, and his name, he already passed away, was Snyder. Snyder's hope theory and his colleagues, what they say is more or less like this, that in order for someone to feel and to have hopeful thoughts, that person needs to have one, a goal or a set of goals, and an awareness of what those goals are. That's component number one. Component number two is what they call pathways. What that's referring to is the concrete pathways that I feel exist for me to be able to achieve the goals that matter to me. Make sense so far? And the third component, which is also really important, is what they call my agency. What they mean by that is my sense that I am capable of tapping into those pathways, those routes, those different ways that I can achieve my goals. So I'm gonna come back to this with an example, but just for now, more or less what they say then is this, that I get to feel hopeful thoughts in my life and also feel hope in my life if I feel like the things that really matter to me, which are my goals, there are pathways to achieve those goals, and that I have what it takes in terms of my agency or my capital to be able to use those pathways to achieve those goals. Let me give you an example because it's a little abstract, and hang in there with me for a second. So I'm going to give you a mundane example. I live in New York City, and Now right there next to Times Square. And a couple years ago, my niece was coming to New York. I hadn't seen her in years, and I wanted to spend some time with her. She said, I want to meet you in Times Square. I'm going to be there. Can we meet there? My goal is to actually go to Times Square to be able to see my niece. I love her. She's my oldest niece. I really haven't seen her in a long time. It'd be great if I could see her. What are my pathways? And if you feel like you want to jump in, please do. If you want to do it via the chat, that's also an option. Let me just actually make sure that I have my chat over here. Feel free to jump in. What do you think are my pathways to be able to achieve this goal of making it to Times Square? I need a way to get there, right? What might actually be ways to get there? One concrete thing is just, do I take a train? Do I take a bus? Do I take a bicycle, right? And if I have a bicycle, train, walk, I could walk, yeah. There are sidewalks, yeah. There are pathways to make it there, right? But then the next thing is, do I have the agency? So what would that be? What would be an example of agency? I want to achieve this goal, and I have these pathways, these ways of getting there. There's a train, there's a subway running, not from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., but there's a train running. There's a city bike actually right next to me, and there are buses. So what would be part of my agency? What is something that would determine whether I can use those pathways or not? One thing could be, do I have the money to actually, yeah, exactly, thanks, Dino. Do I have a MetroCard, right? Do I have the money to pay for a MetroCard? Something else could be, do I have, am I able to actually get on a subway, right? Go down the elevator or the steps, right? Or are there supports for me to actually take an elevator, because I can negotiate the stairs, and I really need an elevator to make it down to the subway, and be able to get on the subway and use those pathways, right? Great. Now let's think a little bit about financial wellness. So hopefully that gives you a little sense of the exercise here and why this is so important. Maybe let me just say this, and is that the reason why I'm breaking this down and we're trying to find a very concrete approach to promoting financial hope is because one of the things that we know about hope is that it's not just about a feeling that we just hope that it gets fostered in the vacuum. It comes down to very concrete things. And when it comes down to financial wellness, it matters even more. So let's come back to our topic, financial wellness. My goal could be something related to financial wellness, right? It could be which is actually one of my goals, is to have money at the end of the month, every month, to be able to send money to my parents who live in South America. They're getting older and they need my support. My siblings are pitching in too, and we all do this together. Family is really important to me. Being a good son is really important to me. Now, for me to achieve this financial goal, I need to have very concrete pathways, right? Very concrete ways that I can actually achieve this goal. And for me, it would be having a job, having the savings to do that, having a bank account where I can put the money, having actual ways to transfer the money when I need to send it. But then it also comes down to my agency, which really is two things. It's either what we call these things that are objective and those things that are subjective. What I mean by that is that some things are very concrete. Is one, do I have the money to actually send, to make a send off, right? Do I have a bank account? Do I know how to actually do a transfer? Do I have the way of the know-how to actually be able to send the money? But also how I feel about it. and what we call this subjective experience. And what I mean by that is that what's also really important is not just simply that I have these very concrete skills, but sometimes what gets in the way of many of us is also what happens between my heart and my brain. It could be fear, it could be shame, it could be the narrative that I am not gonna be able to do this, right? And maybe it doesn't apply for this, but it applies for many other things for me, where sometimes my goal is to do something that is really meaningful to me, but because of things that happened in the past, what I hear is, you're never gonna be able to accomplish this. Who do you think you are? And when it comes to money, shame is a big one, and fear and hopelessness are other really important barriers. So for financial wellness to happen, let me come down to this then, and for someone to be able to achieve a financial wellness goal, what that person needs is, one, to have clarity about their goals, and to have the support to be able to make those goals known, but then to have the very concrete supports to actually get there. It could be a savings account. It could be the financial counseling that the person needs. It could be the earned income tax credit that will give me the extra $500 at the end of the year to be able to have a rainy day account. But also my agency, my skills, my knowledge, and also my overall empowerment. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm going to jump here to this next step, which is one of the key components of being able to build hope, which is what's actually on top of this pyramid, which is having a financial wellness goal that matters to me and having the clarity to be able to identify it. So I'm going to go on a limb here because I know it's a lot of people, but I wonder if some of you may be willing to share some of it. And if you want to do that, please feel free to unmute yourself, go on camera. You don't have to do it, but you can do it if you want to. And if you don't verbalize it, just think for yourself. Think about this on your own. What are your life dreams? What are the life goals that matter most to you? Out of these 5 dimensions of financial wellness, you probably heard me talk about them at some point. What are the ones that matter most to you, and why? And when you look at these 5 dimensions of financial wellness, which are the main stressors that bother you the most, and why? There's some stuff coming here on the chat. Someone is actually sharing that they have a representative payee. Yes. Go ahead.
I want to say, to have finances from a means that I'm happy making, doing something that brings me joy, that also brings me financial security.
Okay, that is your dream.
Yeah, that's a dream.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Do you know where you would put it in one of these 5 dimensions?
I'm looking. Maybe citizenship, maybe stability.
Maybe citizenship, yeah, okay. Something that is meaningful, and also stability.
Possibly.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dino. Philip is actually sharing that financial control is what's most important to him. And he's sharing that his dream is to finish his master's and earn a PhD. That's terrific, Phil.
Hey, Oscar, I remember you. We've met several times at OMH in Albany, so I just want to say hi.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I do remember you. Yeah, I think we met at the SMAC, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. Any other life goals or financial goals anyone else would like to share? And as Leo is sharing that they like to own their own apartment, and Thomas is actually also sharing that Thomas would like to own their own home. Great. And I don't know where you would put these. So yeah, thank you. Financial stability. And also somebody else, George is also saying that they would like to own their own home. Ariel, go ahead, Ariel.
I would like to share that I would like to learn how to do stand-up comedy, mental health, and once I learn it, I don't know where they give the training in Westchester, but to get a group of people, just like David did in Westchester, and get a stage where we could all, where the people that have mental health do stand-up comedy and do performances. So that's something that I would like to learn how to do.
Excellent. I love it. That sounds like an amazing goal, and it sounds like you're building some community around it, that you know some people. And
well, I don't know where to get the training. I left a message with I wonder whether anybody in the NYAPRS knows where I could get training in Westchester. If they do, to send me an email on that.
Okay. Well, Ariel, thanks for putting it out there. There are over 40 people here in the room. Maybe someone will hit you with a chat with some idea.
No problem.
Let's actually keep the intention open. But thanks for sharing your goal, and thanks everybody for sharing theirs. And if you didn't get the chance to share it, I imagine that you're thinking about something, right? The next question that I hope you heard too, which is really important, is to think about why. Why that matters to me, right? And I know that, I think I was sharing that I have this financial goal of having some extra income every month to be able to send some money to my parents. The reason why that matters to me so much is because of what they mean to me, because of what family means to me, the fact that I'm very grateful that I get to do the things that I love today, and it's because of all the effort that they put in. And I also value a lot, you know, the loyalty and you know, the community that the family brings. So what is it for you when you say, I want to own a home? What is it? What's behind it, right? Is it a home for itself? Is it the home because it represents something else? Is it a stability? Is it a decent retirement? Is it a sense of security? You know, is it family? You know, when you think about financial control and being able to make your own decisions, what is that about, right? Is it about independence? Is it about dignity? So think about that. And again, I just want to go back to this idea that the reason why that's so important is because the research is telling us that, one, hope is essential for recovery. And two, for me to be able to stay hopeful, I really need to have clear what my goals are. And here's the thing, is that for some goals, one of the things that I need to do, and it's very helpful to me, is to actually create a community around me. Because when I'm on my own, sometimes I will not dare to dream. I will not dare to say, you know what I really want to do for work is X. You know, I hear you, Ariel, and I'm so glad to hear that. And how important is it sometimes that we actually find the people around us that we trust to be able to share that dream, and why that matters so much, because that dream is the fuel behind everything else. Make sense so far? All right, let's move on to the next. So hopefully that gives you a little vignette. We're gonna share with you, and Len, we're able to do this, right? To send this plan via email or in some other way, maybe on the website.
Yes, the PowerPoint is going to be shared on the, and the recording of this particular workshop will be shared. We'll probably be able to get to it by next week, but it will be up on our website at www.nyaprs.org.
And one of the things that we'll share too is it's a file that is this financial wellness plan. So we already went through the first part of the plan, which is to identify what these life goals are and what more specifically my financial goals are. One of the things that I'll just give you a little tip, almost always people's life dreams fall into one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. Think about it, right? When you think about home, when you think about control, when you think about family, when you think about education, almost always falls into one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And when you think about a financial wellness goal, almost always falls into one of these 5 dimensions of financial wellness. And sometimes it helps me to have those names because it's like, you know, I heard you very clearly, Philip. It's like, you know, financial control is really important to me. It's like, yeah, that's what I want. You know, it helps me give it a name. And when I give it a name, it has power and I can share with others, right? So that's the first part of the plan, is to pinpoint what area of my life, what area of wellness, what area of my life I want to focus on. It's important to me, why, and more concretely, what is the financial wellness goal that I want? Is it to get a specific job? Is it to save money to buy my own apartment, my own home, move into my own, you know, move on my own, you know? There was a time when I remember, like, my goal was to actually leave the halfway house so I could have a little studio, $500 a month. And what I wanted was to have a sense of dignity, that I could actually have my own little place. The place was so small that I always joke around this. I say I had to go outside to change my mind, you know, because it was like so small, but it was mine. It was a little piece of, like, you know, 10 by 10, you know, and I loved it, you know, and that's the kind of stuff that moved me, you know. So I hope you can find that and that you can keep reflecting on that.
So Oscar, Dino has a really wonderful comment in the chat box. The idea of economic citizenship is so exciting in that it would allow me to be myself and contribute finances to myself and to the things that matter in the world to me. Love that.
I love that. Yes, absolutely, Dino. You want to say anything
else? I have a comment.
Sheila, go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, my birthday is Thursday, October 1st. I'll be 65.
All right, congratulations.
And my financial plan is to work 3.5 more years, to have 10 years for my pension. And I'd like to collect Social Security, my pension, and deferred compensation. And before I turn 68, at the age of 66, I'd like to pay off my credit card with my extra income, because I'll be getting Social Security and working. God willing, I don't get laid off in October because of Trump.
Well, thanks for sharing your goals. I love it. And you're a woman with a plan, Sheila. And I hear the clarity of the goal. I hear the clarity of the, both the financial goal, but also the life goal. And I also hear, and this is a great segue, and I don't know if Sheila, you or somebody else would like to actually share a little bit about this, but let me give you the one-on-one of what's actually here in your screen, as you can see it. So here's the other piece, right? Let me go back. I like to go back to the map, right? Again, going back to hope. To have hope, we need a goal, we need pathways, and we need agency, right? So I'm gonna jump to agency right now. And this is a tool that we've been using in this new program that we've been working on, and people are really liking it. I wanted to share it with you in case it's helpful. So one of the things that happens to me all the time is that whenever I think of a goal, the next thing that my mind produces is all the reasons why that's just not going to happen. I want to go back to school. Well, this is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. I want to go back to work, but I don't know this and I don't know that. And who's going to help me? I don't have this. I don't have that. And you know what? It's okay. Some of it is just really human. I actually don't think that people in recovery have the corner in the market for negative thoughts. I think some of it is just being human. So in either case, one of the ways that, one of the things that is really essential is that we combat those thoughts that tell me all the reasons why I can't get there with a very strong reality check. So this is the exercise. I'm gonna spend here a few minutes. Is for us to think about these different types of capital that each of us have. And I can guarantee you that everyone in this room has several of them, whether they're listed here or some others that are not on this list. Let me walk you through some examples here, because there's like different buckets of capital that are really important to help me know that I have some resources to be able to achieve my financial wellness goals. Let me start with material, right? So this is the hardest one, right? Because it's like, my first thought is like, I don't have money. I don't have enough retirement. What am I going to do? I can barely actually be paycheck to paycheck. How could I actually do these big things that I want to do? Maybe true, but let's take a look at whatever capital we do have in this area around material capital, right? My income may be limited, but I have an income. I don't like to depend on Social Security, but it is some source of stable income that I know is coming on a given day of the week, right? And even if so, there may be some other things that are concrete that I do have access to. Maybe I have a computer. Sounds like some of you, most all of you have some kind of device that you were able to use to connect here, right? And that is a resource, right? Maybe there's an old retirement account that there's very little money in, and it's been sitting there for 30 years, but it's something, right? Think about that. There's this area of human capital, which is, think of it as the skills, the knowledge, the education that I have that can actually help me here. One of the things that I have learned the most by trying to do this work with many people in recovery is that we sometimes may not have a dime or much money, but we're very resourceful. All that I might have is the $800 that come in through Social Security every month. But boy, do I know that people have an ability to actually stretch those dollars in ways that the regular civilian who doesn't know about Social Security doesn't, right? I haven't received benefits in many years, and today, I've gotten accustomed to other things. If you put me today to try to survive with $800, I have a really hard time, but I can guarantee you that many people in this room know how to do that really well. And that is actually part of your capital. I may not be working in my job or the kind of career that I went to school, but you know what? I did go to college 20, 30 years ago. And you know what? There's this big gap in my resume, but I did go to college. You get the hang of it, right? So this is the kind of capital that we want to think about, is identify what is the human capital that I do have, the certificates, the skills, the money management, skills that can help me achieve my financial goals. The third is this area of social capital, which are my connections, my relationships, my friendships. And here's the key, is that it's not only these relationships that are what we call these strong relationships or close relationships, but it's also what they call these weak relationships or more distant relationships. So think about it, right? Say, I'm actually friends with Len, right? And yes, we are. And I have 5 friends, 5 close friends, right? The resources that I have access to, these 5 friends may be able to help me with. Meaning, Len may know some things. My friend Jeremy might actually know some others. My friend John could lend me money if I'm in a bind. But here's the cool thing about it, is that Len also has his own relationships. And to me, those people are not close relationships, so they are more distant relationships. But the nice thing about it is that in reality, they can also be part of my social capital, because Len may think, you know what, Oscar, I actually have a friend who knows about an employer, who knows about a job. You know what, even better. My friend told me that his best friend knows somebody. So the question is, what is the capital that I have, even when it doesn't seem like I have many, right? And when you think about this capital, think about not only the capital that you have as in your close relationships, but also the people who know people, right? Make sense? And then the fourth is this bucket of what we call cultural capital. We're all cultural beings. We were all socialized to a family, into a community, with certain values, with certain beliefs, things that make who we are, right? So let's celebrate that and acknowledge the things that we can tap into in those cultural identities that can actually help us move forward, that are also part of our capital. There have been times in my life when, you know what, I have not had not only any money, but I had debts that in the 6 years. But one thing that I did know is that I have a very strong work ethic and I'm a hard worker. And I was not going to let those numbers and the loss of jobs define who I was. And that is something that I was taught since I was a kid. I saw it in my parents. I saw them work really hard, be part of who they were. That is part of my cultural capital. So the question for you is, what is part of your capital? What is your capital? Anyone want to share? Material capital, human capital, social. Yes, that's Sheila, right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Sheila.
My material capital is my pension, my deferred compensation, Social Security, and my paycheck. My human capital is my master's degree in social work, my trainings that I get at work on an annual basis, CPR training, and altogether I have 19 and a half work years. My social is my family and friends, and I go to a food pantry. My cultural is my church. I'm a Baptist.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. Thanks for sharing that with us. I see Ariel has her hand up too.
Yeah, my material is my SSDI that goes to my rep payee, my own personal paycheck from my part-time job. I now have a computer. I live in an apartment. My parents bought me an apartment, so it's my own, even if they die. My human capital is I went to college with a 1 year. I mean, it was a 2-year college, but I have a human services certificate. I was I'm a certified peer support specialist. Actually, I was the first one in New York State who got certified, and I have my upgrade certificate now. And plus I'm learning how to use the computer and Zoom. I didn't know that. My social capital is I work as a peer. I do peer support groups. I have a great family that gives me support. I now have friends, which I didn't have friends before. And my cultural, I talk I sometimes go on my friend who's a rabbi, some of her Jewish services. I take time for myself, and I do a lot of values in self-meditative for my cultural.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ariel. I am very impressed by both of yours, both of you being able to walk through them and having them right up, you know, and this is the goal, is to be able to really bring them into consciousness quickly. And this is actually one of the reasons why we do it. But also, it has a very practical purpose, right? Is that this is not only about all the capital that I have, but also the capital that sometimes can help me very concretely to achieve the specific goal that I have. I'll give you one example. Through the years, I've become actually tighter with one of my brothers. He's 17 years older than me, and we grew up kind of in different worlds. I was in first grade, and he was finishing engineering school, and just two different generations, right? And there was a time when I was in a really difficult financial position, and he was actually able to help me. And as the universe will have it, as time has passed, now we're actually in this relationship of a lot of trust, where we are just making decisions together about our parents in ways that I could have never imagined. I gotta tell you, and that has actually had very concrete financial impact because it made things a lot easier. And so I guess what I'm saying here is I'm encouraging you to think about all these other areas of your life and all these other resources that we all have, or that we can continue to work on to be able to make our goals around financial wellness and employment more achievable. This is all part of our agency. So going back to our triangle here, our pyramid, again, we have some clarity over what our goals are, where do they fit in these 5 dimensions of financial wellness, what is my agency, what is my capital to be able to tap into. But here's the thing, is that we're missing something very important, which is a very concrete need, which is what are the pathways? And in financial wellness, what are the most concrete set of pathways that we have are the financial supports that may be able to help me to achieve the financial wellness goal that I have. So this brings us to the third section of the financial wellness plan. And I'm just gonna glance at these because unfortunately this is not a workshop and we can't kind of go through all of these services and supports in detail to really be fair and all that. But I wanted to actually, the reason why they're in this plan is because for each financial wellness goal that you have or someone that you support has, there are concrete pathways that may be able to help the person achieve those goals. And our task here is to try to identify what those are, right? It could be as simple as having a bank account. It could be, I'm in trouble financially. I owe a lot of money. My credit is really terrible and I'm never gonna be able to buy my own home. What do I do? Well, there are very concrete supports to be able to help people to untangle all these financial issues. One that personally I see as extremely underutilized, and I think for many of us in recovery, we could see them as just another resource in our team, our financial counselors. So one of the things that I wanted to actually comment on this issue of the pathways and the different supports is a couple of different resources that are available for people to have access to financial counseling. And I'm just going to mention this briefly because I know not everybody's in New York City, but I'll mention two. I'll mention one that is available in New York City. It's free, certified financial counseling available to people who live or work in New York. And the other one is for people who live or are in any other part of the country. Both of them are free, they're certified, and they are run by reputable organizations and that have no other interest. They're not-for-profit agencies that are, their only interest is to help people who have low, moderate income move forward. So the first one is actually a service by the City of New York. It's the New York City Financial Empowerment Office. They hire organizations that specialize in financial counseling that are in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, in Manhattan, in Queens, Staten Island. And they have the service where you actually can go online and book an appointment. You can actually, there are two services that they provide. One is actually this General Financial Empowerment Center. And then there's this other service called Empowered NYC, which actually is provided by financial counselors that have a little bit more training on Social Security. So they're able to kind of help people navigate debts, savings, and Social Security. So depending on which one, if you're a recipient of Social Security, we recommend this one, Empowered NYC. If you know someone who just needs more general counseling and is not necessarily receiving Social Security, the Financial Empowerment Center, it's actually great. They have many other sites. You choose the language and it takes you to the next page and it will show you different organizations that provide the concrete service. I'm working right now with Baltic Street where we have a pilot where we're actually supporting a number of people. We're working, for example, with this organization. It's in Bedford in Brooklyn. The cool thing about it is that it tells you right away who is available, the name of the counselors. I know that this lady is actually pretty cool. So I'm going to look for an appointment with her and it will tell me when she's available. And for example, she's available, I think tomorrow, and set up the appointment. That's actually for people who are in New York City. I won't be able to walk you through all of it because there are a few steps, but what we're going to do is actually, we're going to share with you this this resource. Sorry. It's actually a reference guide with different financial services and supports in New York City and across the state. And the link is right here. So you're going to get this, and it's this free financial counseling in New York City. The other one is also for Empowered NYC, which is the same website. You just have to choose that site. There's a hand raised I heard. I thought I saw. Let me see here. Sorry about this. Okay, Philip, go ahead.
I also like to add that there is a free tax preparation service. It's available nationwide. It's called Community Tax Aid. I actually was a volunteer this year for the
Nice.
first time, helping Fountain House members prepare their income taxes. And it's a free service. It's available nationwide. It's available from January to April.
Mhm.
And if a person wants to be trained through community tax, say you can go on their website and find out how to do that.
Great. Thanks so much, Philip. That is one of the resources that I always like to share with people, because one of the sad things about the tax credits is that one of the things that we know is that hundreds of millions of dollars every year go unclaimed by people with disabilities or people who receive Social Security. And apparently the reason is that many people work but make very little money or not a lot, and they never get to file taxes because they're not required to file taxes. But when you don't file taxes, you don't get to hear that you are eligible for a tax credit. So if you had any earned income, we really encourage people to go to one of these free volunteer income tax preparation assistance. There's the one that Philip mentioned. There's one that will also be on that resource. It's a network of IRS trained volunteers. Many of these sites are available after tax deadlines. So some of them are available in October, November. And also New York City itself has a volunteer income tax preparation assistance, free tax preparation assistance for people who actually live in New York City. So again, so let me stop here for a second. I wanted to show you the other resource. That's right, for people who are not in New York City. So, here it is. So what you would do is in your browser, just look for Financial Resilience Center. And this is going to bring you to this website by the National Disability Institute that links you up. We'll send you this here too, to this financial counselor offered also by this not-for-profit, very reputable organization called AFCPE, and they do virtual financial counseling. You work with a professional certified counselor, and you actually follow kind of the websites, and then you sign up. I won't be able to go through the steps here. You can be anywhere in the state or anywhere in the country to be able to take advantage of that. Let me see, there's actually a chat. There's actually someone asking for the emails. Maybe Len, if you don't mind, maybe taking note of that one if we're able to save this chat. So this this is the purpose of this next section, right? And this requires homework on the part of those of us who are trying to support someone, and on the part of the person who is actually trying to achieve their goals. Unfortunately, no one is going to come to us with a perfect list of all the resources that can actually help us. And this is where, if you're a peer provider, you can actually be really helpful. Peer providers are really good at helping people navigate services, find out about services. Peers are really good at sharing information. Philip, you just did that with us. You just told us about a free tax preparation assistance, and this is the homework now. So this is perhaps the toughest one. It's like to really find out what financial wellness supports are out there in my communities that I may be eligible for. And don't do it alone. There are two resources. The reason why I lead with financial counselors is because these people went to school, they got trained, just like a psychiatrist did with medications, just like a counselor got trained in clinical approaches, just like a peer provider got trained in peer support. They got trained in financial counseling. They know their stuff. They should be in our corner. And they're free, certified. It could be someone that we just have in our team. Add them to your team. The second one is a work incentives benefits counselor, right? If you don't have one and you're looking to go to work, or it just really impossible to actually not rely on someone who knows about benefits on work. Those two people can be your resources, or can be their resources, and it's really important that they be part of the team, because they will know about resources that many providers or many people in the community won't know about. So some other examples are Social Security related. One that hopefully you've actually heard already that may apply to some of you is this program called ABLE, Achieving a Better Life Experience, ABLE. It's a program that can help people who can show that they had a disability before the age of 26 to save up to $15,000 a year and $100,000 in a lifetime and not affect their benefits. There's some others here that I'm sure you've heard about, and if not, we'll send you this list with the resources, and we'll also send you this other list here with the reference with some phone numbers, some links, how to learn more about employment services, ticket to work, work incentives to keep cash while working, work incentives to keep health and housing. This is one that actually a lot of people don't know about, that I'll just take the opportunity to mention, is the housing income disregard. Has anybody heard of that? By any chance? Chris? Oh, no, I thought it was somebody else. Anybody heard that? It's called the HUD, Earned Income Disregard. I guess not. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what it is. So people who are receiving HUD support for housing, right? Like in New York City, NYCHA, for example, right? Or HUD in any other part of the state, right? Can go back to work and not have their income be counted for a full first year when they're calculating the rent that the person needs to pay. And for the second year, only half of the income is actually counted. Probably you know that if that you're on HUD, your rent payment is proportional to your rent, right? But if you use this incentive, you actually get a break for up to 2 years, so that you can actually go back to work, see how it works, see how it goes, and also save some money and be able to actually be at a better place and not have your rent be increased right away. Like that, there are many others. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through all of them, but I really want to encourage you to look, to knock, to ask, to find out. My mother says, there's no worse paperwork than the one that doesn't get done, For those who speak Spanish, it's no hay peor gestión que la que no se hace. There's no worse paperwork than the one that doesn't get done. So let me actually move now to let's actually go back to our, sorry, I have a lot of windows open, as you can see. This is the reality of my life. I won't hide it. Let's come down to the fourth part of the plan, which is really where all of this should come together. What will I do with whom, by when. Specifically, what am I going to do, right? What is my next step? And it can be very small. And actually, it's better if it's actually very concrete. This weekend, I will pull my credit report. And you know what? I'm going to text Len before I do. I'm going to text him back so that he can support me through this thing, because I don't like to see my credit report, because I get anxious, I get afraid something else is going to be there. There's this thing from 20 years ago I'm still embarrassed about. I don't like it one bit, but you know what? I want to do it because I want to be able to make it better. So what am I going to do, by when, and with whom? So let me pause here, and I wonder if from all of this, anyone wants to share thoughts that you've had through the workshop about very concrete goals that you may have, things that you've been wanting to see or you've been thinking about doing, or an example from working with someone or supporting someone, or something very concrete that you would like, that you know that this would help the person. And where do we start? Where does one start? Dino, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the HUD savings. Does that apply to SPOA? SPOA is like a piece of HUD. Do you know, Fish? Do you know? I don't want to put you on the spot, but SPOA is a HUD program. It's Shelter Plus. Same kind of thing. Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that, Dino.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know the answer, but you know what? I think I like where you're going, which is you heard something that maybe might apply to you, and let's think of this together.
Yeah.
Who might be, since I'm not the one, who might be a person that might actually know?
Okay.
Or what can we do?
Good. So we get the program and we just ask, right?
Okay.
We get the form. What was the program's name? It's
HUD Income Disregard.
Income Disregard. Okay. HUD Income Disregard.
So here's the thought, that maybe a very concrete next action step for you, Dino, is to actually look it up. How about the next task, trying to break down your action steps. The next thing is to grab that name, Google it, see what you find out. And I don't have it with me, but there is a phone number to do consultations over the phone around HUD. There's actually HUD counseling. And if you Google that, it will come up.
Thank you, Oscar.
I like it. Michael is asking if this workbook is available online. So this plan is actually available in the Academy of Peer Services financial wellness course. For those of you who know about the Academy of Peer Services or have access to it, there's a course there, it's a 4-hour course where a lot of this content is already there. The financial wellness plan that I just showed you is actually there. There are other tools there too. There's a financial engagement plan, which is actually more to have conversations with people in a culturally sensitive way. And then there's also an assessment. There are a few other tools. But also Len will, I think you're gonna upload the PowerPoint and the attachments, this different, the financial wellness plan on the website, and then make it available to everyone who attended the workshop. So
somebody also put in the chat box the HUD information regarding the disregard.
Right. And it seems like Carolyn was saying, actually, that one seems to be from Kentucky, so may not apply. But the general facts similar across the country because it's actually a federal program. So I would look for the, something that New York State puts out, but it's generally the same program. So actually, Sandy says thanks because I never received the stimulus check. So it looks like Sandy, there's actually something there related to filing taxes. I don't know the specifics, but if it's related to taxes, I would encourage you to reach out to one of the free tax preparation assistance financial counselors. If you're in New York City, can also provide guidance on how to access the stimulus check that we just had a few months ago.
Arthur, I think I'll be able to answer that question because I encountered. On the IRS website, there is a link called "Get My Stimulus Check." So you click on that, and it will ask you information like what your Social Security number is. You just provide and make sure you have. If you want your check be direct deposit, provide deposit information. If not, I think they started to issue. They're changing from issuing paper checks to some type of card because there's been major problems with that with the first stimulus check. So, and also you don't SSI recipients are eligible to receive the stimulus check. You just have to go through that link on the IRS website I mentioned earlier.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. There's another comment on the chat that I just wanted to mention briefly. Someone is sharing their experience with discharging their loans and debts because of disability. Also sharing an experience around bankruptcy and also credit, credit repair. This is all very helpful. What I would say in general that probably applies to everyone is that some big decisions like filing for bankruptcy, it's really important to make them with a financial counselor. Just like when you think about someone on Social Security going to work and not making the decision alone, making it with someone who knows about work incentives and benefits and work. The same thing around bankruptcy is really important because some people benefit from it, some people not as much. It's not a black and white kind of like thing, and also the discharge for discharging the debt. It's actually there's a lot of advantages. There's some process that is involved, and it's also something that a financial counselor that knows about disability would be the best person to actually help you as well. Let me see here. I see that somebody actually, Carolyn, thanks, Carolyn. Carolyn, you just put in here the information on the HUD income disregard by neighborhood legal services. And this seems right. This is actually by a group in Buffalo, and very good legal assistance group putting that out. So let me stop here. We have 5 minutes left, and I wonder if anyone else wants to chime in. Len, anything that you'd like to add to our discussion, or any questions that you're noticing also in the chat that maybe I have missed, or any points?
No, what I really like about this workshop is it's a practical workshop about hope. And it's not enough just to have feelings of hope, as Oscar indicated. There's other parts that actually make hope work. And that is agency, and that is other components that Oscar talked about that really help to get people started and oftentimes help people keep going. Because we all have those bouts and spurts of energy where we feel really hopeful and we get energized and we start thinking about, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But this takes it so that we're able to continue that hope. And I highly recommend the curriculum that Oscar has here, and we'll make sure that it gets posted.
Yeah, thanks, Len. Thanks. I also, I mean, I gotta tell you also at a personal level, I've been personally trying to apply this in my life, you know, like how to really think about things that are challenging in a very concrete way, because sometimes I feel discouraged and I feel like, oh, I'm never gonna accomplish this. I'll share something with you. Actually, I just started my, I've been wanting to get my PhD for many years, and I got accepted twice, but once I didn't have all the money. The second time I had immigration problems, and it couldn't happen, you know. And so I got accepted, and I just started this fall.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And it's a big deal for me because it's really like, I feel like a lot of these things I've been wanting to do, that I want to be, I have to realize that for me to be helpful, continue to be helpful in this world, in the work that we do, I need more training, you know, and I wanted to do that, you know. And but if I think of this big project as a huge thing, it feels overwhelming, right? And when I feel discouraged, it's actually, it helps me to come down to like, okay, what is the one thing I want to accomplish here? What are my pathways? What's my agency, you know? And I really hope that I would invite you to try that in your lives, right? To think about it like, okay, I'm facing a barrier here. Let me remind myself, what is my goal here? What are my pathways and what's my agency? You know what? I know people. I actually have done this before. I have some response. I know how to. This is not the first time I'm dealing with this. I think I'm going to be okay. And if you can do it on your own, do it with someone that you trust, with a peer, with someone who actually knows you for a long time, and to kind of walk you through it. And it applies to financial wellness, applies to many other things, any other area of wellness or recovery. Before we close, I just wanted to say, you know, I think this is what Lynn was referring to. In the slides, you're going to see there's a little plug that we put in there for the Academy of Peer Services course. Also wanted to put a plug in for some curricula that Peggy and Judith Cook and others, I was one of the suspects in the back there, put together on building financial wellness. It's actually a 6-session. If you're really into this idea of trying to help other people, this may actually be very, very good. And there are a couple of manuals that NYAPRS put out. It's a few years now. They're still there. They may still be helpful to you. One for people in recovery, one for also providers who are trying to support people. And as we close, I want to leave you with this quote, because to me, hope is also about courage. It's also about pursuing the goals and the dreams that we have in our lives, even when it doesn't seem like they're going to become real. And this is part of a quote. I've adapted it a little bit for inclusivity and racial awareness. So it's called the one in the arena. It was actually part of Teddy Roosevelt's speeches. This is in the early 1900s. And it's a very famous quote because it's a quote about hope and courage. But it's really about the role that I feel like every one of us in recovery ends up playing, and that I want to invite you to actually stay in touch with in this journey of wellness, of recovery, and specifically on your financial goals. Is that it's not the critic who counts, not the person who points at how the strong one stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the one who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, falls, who comes short again and again, and who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and at worst, if they fail, at least fail while daring greatly. And this is my hope for every one of us, that we will fail, that we will achieve, and that if we fail or when we do it daring greatly, because there's no way to keep hope up, financial or otherwise, without daring greatly. So I really want to thank you for the time and for coming together and bringing your stories. It's always a pleasure to join NYAPRS and Len and Harvey and others on this amazing conference and community that NYAPRS has. Without close, Len.
Thank you so much, Oscar, and thank you all for attending. We are going to close this room. We're going to open the next room for the annual meeting. Please look in your program if you plan on attending, and just click that link, and it'll be open in just a moment. Thank you so much.